the reading level, it has actually increased the length there. I don't love those changes, so I'm going to go to the previous version. So that's something to bear in mind when you're working with Canvas, is you can actually select the previous version and it will take you back. I'm then going to click on restore this version. And then finally, I am going to add final polish, which is going to get it ready to go public online. And just very quickly, if you want to add in some emojis for some fun, you can also do that. One thing I'll note is that Canvas, incredible for coding. So if you are an engineer right now and you want ChatGPT to act as a pair programmer, simply grab the code that you're working on, paste it into the chat window, select Canvas, and then you will actually have an option that sits down in the right-hand corner that allows you to debug code and get suggestions as well. So it's exactly the same format and interface, but it is incredible for code. So please, please, if that is your use case, test it out. Great, so what we have is a blog post, it's ready to go. But something that's really important, we obviously love that ChatGPT can now help you and can partner on your work. But as with all things in ChatGPT and with any AI model, they can make mistakes. So it's always worth getting your final version and having a colleague or a human always review the work before you send it on. And this is something that we call human in the loop. Humans should always be driving the output of AI models, and that's no different in ChatGPT. So please make sure that you're checking the work before you send it on. Perfect. So what I'm going to do now is move on to really the last section today. I'm just going to spend 5 minutes giving you some top tips and tricks for prompting with ChatGPT. Now that you understand what's possible and how to navigate and the types of input that you can upload into ChatGPT, it's really important that we discuss how to communicate with ChatGPT. And so to clarify, a prompt is a simple question or an instruction that you give to ChatGPT. Prompting is all about crafting and refining the language that you use to get the best results from AI models. This concept is also referred to as prompt engineering, but I just want to stress that you do not need a technical background to be good at prompting. In fact, quite the opposite. Prompting is simply just good communication. And I think probably the most important thing I will tell you today is that you should be thinking about communicating to ChatGPT in the same way you would a human. So if you want ChatGPT to be a helpful assistant and to help you on a bunch of work use cases right now, you should be talking to ChatGPT in the same way you would a colleague. So to be clear, humans respond best to clear, concise, and specific instructions if they are to perform a task well. And that is exactly the same for ChatGPT. The more context you provide, the more clarity, the more you give, the more you get. And so, to really wrap up today, a prompt requires 2 things. There's a lot of fancy frameworks out there, but I would recommend that you just stick to these 2 things for now. Context and expectation. So let me show you what I mean by that. Context is really telling ChatGPT who you are, what you do, and the task that you're working on. It's telling ChatGPT enough about you so that it understands the task in hand. And again, having your custom instructions and things like memory turned on is a way to give ChatGPT additional context about you to get better responses. So that's context. Expectation is about being very clear with ChatGPT about what you are looking to achieve. Do you want to analyze a report and get a specific output? Do you want ChatGPT to give you bullet points or a table? Do you want a very specific piece of analysis done against a specific data set? That is really giving ChatGPT some guardrails or some guidelines. That is going to help steer the model to the output that you are looking for. To showcase this, what I'm going to do is I am going to add in a very basic prompt. I'm going to say, summarize this research paper. I'm then going to add in a rather complex research paper. And what I should expect with a prompt like this is to get a very generic high-level response. And in some scenarios, that's great. In some scenarios, that is what we are looking for. We want a high-level overview, and in which case then that prompt is absolutely fine. But quite often when we're doing a task, we're doing something very specific in order to get a specific outcome. So what we've got is a summary of this research paper, an overview, some key contributions, a conclusion. It's very helpful to get a snapshot of what is going on in that research paper. But let's take this one step further. I want to now show you the best version of a prompt to yield a really specific response. So again, I'm going to do the same thing with the paperclip icon. I am going to upload this research paper, and then I'm going to tell ChatGPT more about the task in hand. In this example, I'm saying that I am a researcher analyzing a paper on computational geometry. And I'm specifically looking at the concept of geometry images for surface representation. Attached is a paper that includes various figures and diagrams. I need a detailed breakdown of each image, including its context, key features, and relevance to the concepts discussed in the paper. Okay, this is quite a complex scenario, but can you see how specific you need to be and how much you need to tell ChatGPT about your task to get a great output? So I'm this researcher, I have this paper, there's a very specific thing I want out of the paper, which is to understand the images within that paper. And I want to understand kind of the relevance at large. This type of prompt is going to get me a very, very different response. And one thing that is incredible now about ChatGPT is ChatGPT can not only just analyze text within a document, it's also going to be able to analyze images as well. So you no longer have to separately upload images to get a response. You can actually upload the file itself, and ChatGPT will analyze everything within that file. So to recap, what we've got here is now a really specific response about these specific images. That is a that's a completely different response to what we got in the first request. And if we scroll down, you can see ChatGPT has identified the figure, the very specific page, and has done this for each figure. And so for me doing this task as this researcher, this is incredibly helpful. So to recap, if you are engaging in a conversation with ChatGPT and you are adding a prompt, make sure that the prompt has a lot of context or enough context about you and the task in hand, and that you are being clear about your expectation. You are clearly defining the output that you are looking for. And that really kind of comes to the end of the session today. So I hope that that was helpful. And I hope that you got a lot of suggestions and ways that you can use this for work. But I just want to recap. Today, we have covered multimodality using 4O. We've looked at complex problems with O1. We've navigated the interface, and I've taught you how to trigger something like Canvas. And we've also been prompting to get information, and those prompts really need to have context and expectation. In next week's 102, I'm going to be diving into projects and we're going to be building a GPT together. So please sign up if that's something that's of interest. So thank you so much. I would love for you to take a minute to fill out a survey to give us some feedback. And of course, we hope to see you back here next week for 102. Thank you so much for your time.